Transitioning away from credit cards with magnetic stripes to the more secure chip and PIN cards could actually lead to more bank breaches, according to some credit card executives. Here with the story is Marketwatch's Priya Anand. Welcome, Priya. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So hasn't the U.S. been slow to adopt these new cards?
Yes, the U.S. is the last developed country to actually adopt the EMV standard, which means that the data on a credit card is stored on a chip instead of the magnetic stripe. That makes it a lot harder to duplicate, and that's why the U.S. accounts for about half the world's fraud.
So why has the U.S. been so slow to adopt these cards, and when is that coming?
Part of the problem is that before banks could and issuers could shift some of the costs of fraud to retailers and to consumers. Now there's an October goal date, and by that point, if you're a retailer or if you're a bank, whoever has a lesser technology is the party that's on the hook for fraud. So there's this big push to get as many people using these cards as possible by October, but according to some projections by MasterCard, that's not really going to be something that's used U.S.-wide until 2017.
So you spoke with executives at MasterCard, and they have some concerns about these new cards. What are they?
Right, so these new cards, while they are called chip and PIN cards in the rest of the world, in the U.S. a lot of banks are saying we're still going to make people sign like you do on a receipt with your magnetic stripe card. Signatures are relatively useless though, so this is really only going 50% of the way in the U.S. for the most part. That means that when you have online transactions, you're not really getting much of an extra layer in protection.
So do they fear greater online fraud as a result of this
They do fear greater online
Okay.
fraud, but they don't think all of the fraud will just go straight online. They do think banks will end up being targets as criminals look for new ways to try to make more money since they can't replicate cards as easily anymore.
So there must be sort of secondary security measures that they're exploring. What are some of those?
Some of them include making sure that if you're using a card, that your cell phone is in close proximity, so geolocating with that. Some will use voice authentication. MasterCard is testing a lot of new technology, though, including one way where you take a selfie while you're doing certain transactions.
You gotta put your face on before you go shopping.
Yeah.
That's great. No, actually, that makes a lot of sense. It seems to me that we should have implemented all of these things already. Why is it so slow?
It's been a slow process in figuring out how to do authentication right. You have to make sure that you're not hindering the customer experience too much, and that's something that banks are afraid of with adding that PIN number. Although MasterCard has done surveys with people, and people say we don't mind having another PIN number.
Right.
Banks are really hesitant to ruin the customer experience because then someone will go to another issuer.
They don't want to prevent you from buying at the end of the day. All right, Priya, thank you so much for that.